Hi, folks. Dan Bird here with the Daily Scan for Friday, the last full week of the year, first 2 days of the new year, and looks like we started to get a little traction today. So, is it over? Is all that selling finally over? You can see all these little green shoots starting to pop up. Is that what's going on? We're starting to get some green shoots. They're going to grow into big, huge, tall trees. Even baby Groot is sticking his head up above ground. So let's take a look and see what's going on. First off, disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. You need to understand your own risk profile and your investing style. Anything that I say is not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. Keep in mind that nobody knows what the market's going to do, including me. So it will do whatever it will do. Our whole goal is to reduce risk. If you do want to engage with a financial advisor, you can go to this site right here. And keep in mind that past performance does not guarantee future results. So let's take a look at what happened today. First of all, keeping with that green shoots theme, take a look here at the market bias. There's a little green shoot popping up, or trying to anyway. It hasn't got above the trend line yet, but it is starting to move higher. So maybe that's possibly the start of something. As I said before, a lot of times it's that after the first week when volume is low and most of the big traders aren't around, when they come back on Monday, volume should pick up. And then I think we'll see what the true direction of the market will be. And I think right now things are looking pretty positive for next week. So let's take a look at the market bias matrix first. I'll show you how I go through this every night. I update this every night after the close. You can see anything in red or green highlighted like that means that it just changed today. So this just changed from bull to bear. This one changed from bear to bull. That's semiconductors, by the way. So that's good news. NVIDIA actually is looking pretty good, but you can see the number of bullish squares on here. There's only one bear square, one red one. So starting to move up. So look at the orange one over here. That's the short-term trend. It's starting to move higher. Medium-term trend is kind of flat, and the long-term is still moving up. So all of that looks good. So let me show you how I walk through this. And here's the S&P. And right now, the pink line needs to get above the blue line in order to get a short-term up signal. So in other words, for that to change from a bear box to a bull box, that's what has to happen. So we're still a few days away from that, probably sometime mid next week. That might happen if it keeps going higher. But you can also see we're in this trend right here. So we need to either break out one way or the other. We did not break out to the bottom, so that's good news. But we still haven't broken out to the top either. So we need to see if we can break through this 6,000 area right up here on the S&P. I'm just going to click through a few of these. I'm not going to do all of them, but you'll get a sense for what it looks like. They all look pretty similar. They're trying to, they've got a nice bullish candle today and trying to get back up to give a short-term up signal, but still probably a day or two away from that. So there's the NASDAQ. Here's the Dow Jones. Needs a lot more. There's the NASDAQ 100, getting close. It's just about to go above the 21-day moving average. There's the S&P 100. These all look very similar, by the way. There's mid caps. A lot of work to do on mid caps still. There's small caps. So this could be the start of something, perhaps. We'll take a look at the 10-year in a minute. As I mentioned yesterday, there's the New York Stock Exchange. Here's the Russell. So the Russell's starting to move up. Still needs to break out up here. So it got a lot of work to do still. Needs to get above the 21. So even though it had a nice day today, that it does not necessarily mean it's time to jump back in with 2 feet. We still want to wait a little bit, maybe one more day. If it gets above the 21, I think that might be a good signal. You can see the volume down here actually was lower than it was yesterday. So this, I think, volume is going to start to pick up, get above the average. This is the 21-day moving average across here. So that's here's growth stocks. They look at it. It is above the 21-day. Here's value stocks, and they actually moved up as well. So there's good breadth in the market, both value and growth moving up. There's transportation, utilities, right at the 21. There's technology making a comeback, right at the 21. There's communication services. As I mentioned yesterday, communication services loves December. So that might be the start of something. There's discretionary where Tesla is. And then the defensive areas, these are moving, that one's moving down. Utilities is moving up. Healthcare is trying to move up. Healthcare has really been beaten down. But again, just like the Russell 2000, it's got a little bit more work to do before I'd feel comfortable getting into healthcare. And energy has actually been the strongest one, even all the way back here. And quite a few of the stocks on that end of year tax loss selling scan that I ran on the website, which is actually on the portfolios page back here. This one right here, tax loss selling, quite a few of these were energy stocks, which I thought was very interesting. I actually bought a few of those just to see how it would do. And I'll let you know in a couple of weeks what that looks like. But let's jump back to the market bias and look at a few other things on here. One that turned bullish today is the semiconductors. So again, it is still trying to break out, hasn't got there yet, but really nice candle today on some pretty good volume. So that looks like good news. If we look at NVIDIA, NVIDIA looks like it's beginning its run. Look at that. So NVIDIA came back all the way now, not only above the 21, but now it's above the 50. So it's heading back to its highs up here at 150 and probably is going to make it in the next couple of days. So next week looks pretty positive for semiconductors. And then further down, we can look at oil, crude, oil and gas, both. Gasoline gave a medium-term bull signal today. So we actually want those to go the other way, but all of them are moving up. So there's gasoline that's starting to move up. And then if we look at gold, gold actually is trying to make a run, but actually pulled back today. So gold actually is still not looking that great. Bitcoin, look at that on here. Here's Bitcoin with that potential head and shoulders. And as I mentioned before, in order for this to be invalidated, it actually will need to break above this right shoulder area. So if we move that over there, there's the right shoulder. So we need to get back above 100K, basically. It's going to give it did not give it yet. You can see in the zoomed in version on the right-hand side, it's probably 1 day away from a short-term up signal and 2 days away from a medium-term up signal. So both of those may turn, right now they're both red, both bear, but these may turn bullish next week. And then 10-year yield, we always want to take a look at that. So that actually moved up a little bit today. So interesting that the 10-year moved up and the Russell actually moved up as well. So that might bode well for the end of year, or actually the beginning of the year into January, maybe get a little bit of a rally. So let's take a look real quick at the Santa Rally chart, see what that's looking like. Close these out. It's on the charts page right here. And right here is the Santa Rally. So we'll look at today, this year. And we have completed the Santa Rally. So the Santa Rally is the last 5 days of the previous year and the first 2 days, trading days of the new year. And that was today. So you can see it had a really nice start. It was the day before Christmas, went sideways and then crashed. And then today came all the way back, and look at where it is. Yes, it's lower than the open, but only 0.7%. So our first indicator right here is now at minus 0.7. Not quite flat, but close to it. It's right at the 50-day moving average as well. So this is a really important area. It needs to get back up through the 21 and definitely needs to get back above the open. So the next threshold that we're looking for is the first 5 days of January. So that would take us the first 3 days. We've already got 2 of them in. So the first 3 days of next week. And we'll track that and see if that one can get above this and even get much higher than that. Now, keep that in mind. minus 0.7% is where we ended the Santa rally. If we look at last year we see we ended the Santa rally at minus 1%. So we actually did a little bit better than this year than we did last year. And the first 5 trading days last year was basically flat. It's a little bit lower, minus 0.13, but I would call that flat for last year. And the trend you can see is minus 1, flat, and then 1.6. So that's the trend higher for all 3 of these, and we'd like to see that again. So the first 3 trading days of next week are going to be really important to keep an eye on. We want to see it end up hopefully in the positive. So we want to see it better than last year, basically. The first one came in slightly better, almost the same, but slightly better. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right. So for those that are subscribers, I think I mentioned this yesterday, but I've added the Vanguard high yield dividend stocks on here as well. And we'll keep track of these and take a look at maybe 1 or 2 at some point in the future. I am going to be changing the market timing strategy. I'm working on that now. I'm not quite ready to launch it yet, but I'm going to start using weekly charts over here for exits for sure. Might still use the daily for entries, but I want to stay in it longer. And also how we identify the trend. So it's actually, even though it says cash, it actually is in a long-term trend right now. But I don't want it to say long-term and be at the top, at the peak, when somebody first looks at it and they might say, well, it looks like I need to get long, and they're getting long right when it's at the peak. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to figure out a way to make that a little bit more clear for everybody. So stay tuned for that. Anybody that's a subscriber, you do need to be a subscriber to get to the portfolios page. All right, let's take a look at a couple of stocks that somebody sent me a list. And actually, to do this, I'm going to use my, this is going to be the chart that I use on the portfolios page for the total market index right here. So if you are a stock chart subscriber and you click on that button, you'll get the same chart that I'm showing you right now. There it is. So the primary trend on the left, and then there's the daily trend on the right. So I'm going to use this to take a look at this list of stocks. So this person, I know he's understands technical analysis pretty well, and real well actually, and he does use weekly charts, and most of his entries are usually based on the weekly. So I'm going to look at both weekly and daily in this case, and the weekly is on the left, so we'll see that first. All right, the first one is Geo. This is one that has been in the top 10 list consistently. This is one that I mentioned even before the election that might do well after the election. And the election was way back here. Where is November? The election was right there in that big, huge green candle. But I mentioned it way back here about a week before the election. And the reason for that, and I read this in an article, the reason is that these guys do prison, they manage prisons, especially for deportations. So you would think with Trump winning, and that's why it went up on election day, that they should be getting a lot of business, and they likely will be. So it's sitting right here going sideways. So in his view, he's also looking for a squeeze, and you can see there is a daily squeeze on it. So we'll look at all of these things when we look at these stocks that this list that he gave me. So really nice daily squeeze over here. There's not a weekly squeeze, at least on the free version. There might be on the pro version. But as I mentioned on the ADX, I went over this on Tuesday. For anybody that wants to learn more about it, go back and watch my Technical Tuesday video. Right now, the green is above the red, and the trend line is above 25. So it's a strong trend. Clearly, it's a strong trend. It's going sideways right now. That's what puts it in a squeeze. And the green is just beginning to come above 25. And once that comes above 25, actually when it breaks out, and I suspect that he has his buy order in somewhere up here above 30, which I think is probably a really good place to have it. So that one looks really, really good. wait for it to break out of this channel. And once it does, it's probably going, this is consolidation theory. It's probably going to go roughly from about, let's call it 15 to about 28, it's the middle of the consolidation. So that's 13 points. So 30, 41, up to about 41, 42 is what the target for this should be. So that would be a nice run. That one looks great. The next one is WGS, and this has consistently also been in the top 10 list over and over again, week after week. On the weekly, it is below the 200 week right now. And you can see a sideways channel, so it's in a squeeze, things that we like to see. So you put your buy order up here above the channel. We're at about 90. Right now, it is at 78. Let's look over here. Right now, it's at 77.82. And it closed, 77. So 90 is where the breakout would be. Might break out a little bit earlier than that, say about 85. But somewhere in that range, it'll probably break out. This one looks really good. It's consistently been in the top 10. ASTS also has been in the top 10 list over and over. And then you can see why right here. Really nice run on the weekly chart. Sideways, it is in a weekly squeeze right now. The momentum bars have not started to move higher, but we have a green candle today. So in fact, I'll zoom in a little bit more on this. So on the weekly, we've got a green one today. So it might be getting ready to take off. Now, I think on this one, I would probably draw a trend line from the high up here down to this low right here. So if it breaks out there at about probably 27 or 28, then this one might be ready to take off. And you can see momentum here is starting to turn up slightly. On the daily chart, it just today got above, it's got a green candle and just above the 21 day, and it's been on a very long squeeze. And on the daily, you can see that the momentum bar has started to improve, started to move higher, and pretty good volume. So this one looks great as well. All three of these so far look like really good winners. ANF, this has been on the list for a year at least. So big, huge run. These are weekly, remember. Big, huge run back here. Then it's just gone sideways ever since May of last year. And actually May of this year, gone sideways. So big, long squeeze on the weekly chart. The momentum bar is just getting ready to cross over. In fact, it might have actually crossed over today. So if we get this green line above 25 down here, this one's going to be a go. And actually, probably if it gets above 175 right here, it's probably going to go higher as well. A little sloppier on the daily. If you look at it over here on this side. So the daily chart looks a little sloppier, but you can clearly see that it's in a sideways channel. It's staying above the 200 day, which is good. It's above all of its moving average lines right now. So again, probably 175 would be right about there. So if it can break through that, this is one that I would probably draw a diagonal line across here. It's just about ready to break out of that diagonal resistance line. So another great looking chart, ADSE. This one I don't recognize, so it's in the industrial space. Really nice upward trend on the weekly. The daily looks like a cup might form a handle right here. So I would expect, all the people that bought here to watch it go down, want to get out, breaking even over here. So this might pull back a little bit, which actually would be ideal. That's actually what you probably would want to look for. Watch for a pullback on this one. So this is a nice organized cup. It was in a squeeze and just came out of the squeeze recently, but I would actually wait a little bit for a pullback, maybe down here to the 21 day, around 1450, something like that. But the weekly is already broken out, and it's been in a squeeze for a long time. So this one looks great. The green has not come above 25 yet, but once it does, this could actually have a long run ahead of it, especially if it makes this little cup over here and then breaks out. So that one looks great. FWRD, forward air. So this one's rolling over, but might might have had a rebound today, just trying to get up back above its weekly 21 week, which is the on the weekly, this is an 8 moving average. So the 8 and the 21 are pretty much at the same place. It does have a squeeze on the weekly, 3 week squeeze right now, but the red is still above the green. So we would like to see that move higher. And that's mostly because it's been pulling back from its highs back here. So the highs back here are 40, and right now it's at 33. So this one might be a good time. It's going to give a short-term up signal on Monday, almost no matter what it does. It could even come down a little bit and still get a short-term up signal because it's right on the line. No squeeze right now, but it had been in one. This is a bearish squeeze though. So you can see it's been moving down through the squeeze period. But now the momentum is moving up, and up here it's not above zero though. So it's still confirmed in a downtrend right now. So I'd like to see, this move up, probably again, draw a diagonal line across these tops right here. And the breakout will probably be right above the 50-day. This one doesn't look as good as the other ones, but still looks interesting. Microsoft on the weekly, it's in a squeeze, but it could be a bearish squeeze because it's going down and momentum's rolling over, and the momentum bars are declining. So that's implying that it is moving lower. The red just crossed the green down here. So this squeeze could be a bearish squeeze rather than a bullish squeeze. That's the thing about the squeeze, is you don't know which direction it's going to go. You need other things to help with that, like the ADX, like the momentum, like the MACD up here, things like that. And the force indicator, which I put in the background right here. So that's below zero as well. All these imply that this may continue lower, although it had a nice little rally today. So this is one that I wouldn't be getting into yet. It very well could rally back to the 21-day up here at 430, roughly. However, I'd like to see the momentum bars, and I'd like to see the green cross the red. So I'm a wait and see on that one. Coop, Mr. Cooper mortgages. My mortgage just got sold to Mr. Cooper. So I will be paying Mr. Cooper every month on my rental property. So sideways, pretty much sideways movement on the weekly chart. That's what puts it in the squeeze down here. It's also in a daily squeeze. So it has both daily and weekly. However, the daily is red, although the momentum bars are improving. So if these cross over the next few days, and it gets a couple of more green bars right here, probably needs to get above 100 to move higher. And that would put the weekly a little bit higher as well. So this weekly is completed today, and next week we'll start a new bar here for next week's weekly. Again, this is one that needs to prove itself still, but it looks like it has potential. It's got two squeezes, but again, we don't know if those are. This one here, it looks like a bearish squeeze, and this one looks like a bullish squeeze. So we've got a conflict between the two squeezes. So we'll see. That's another one that I would wait and see. So that was all his. I'm going to put two more in here. One is Carvana. And the reason for this is because I read an article that Hindenburg, which is a company that researches potential companies to short, and what they do is look at their financials, and they're seeing some very dicey, squirrely things with Carvana on their financials. So if they are right, this downtrend could be just beginning. So that's the weekly bar. You can see big, huge, and it ended near the lows this week. So momentum started lower way back here, both on the MACD, still above zero, which is good. But it crossed over right there, and momentum down here on the squeeze. We got 3 weeks in a row now with declining momentum and a really ugly candle today. In fact, if I switch this to candles, you'll see what it looks like. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red candles. So even before that Hindenburg article came out, people were beginning to worry about Carvana. So this is one that I would not be taking a position in. If I had a position, I don't, but if I had one, I would probably be getting out and maybe going short on this one. And on the daily, same thing over here on the daily, just nothing but red bars. It's got a short term down and a medium term down. It's below zero. The squeeze momentum went negative right here. Then it went into a squeeze right here through this period, but that is a bearish squeeze, clearly. And then you can see the red crossing the green down here and accelerating higher while the green accelerates lower. And the blue bar is the strength of the trend. So the downtrend is actually strengthening. So this one easily could get down here to 150. The 200-day is at 154, but easily could get down there. And then support is over here about 125. So that's one I wanted to look at because I didn't think it would look too good, and it certainly doesn't. And then the last one is Tesla. See, yeah, Tesla has a nice hammer today. It looked like the last couple of weeks that it was starting to roll over, but it could start recovering now. It's still elevated as far as momentum is concerned. And on the daily, it didn't quite cross. So it was very close to giving a short-term down signal. And you can see that the momentum is perhaps getting ready to go below zero, and it might only be saved by today's rally. So it had a really nice rally today on decent volume. Yesterday's volume was huge, but today was decent. So we'll have to see if it can continue. And it's right at the 200-day, I mean, the 21-day moving average right now. So Tesla really needs to either just move sideways or it needs to start to rally. If it doesn't, then it could be in for trouble. But I think based on the whole market, and we'll look at, here's the cues. The whole market, I think, is ready. I think it is just getting tired of selling, frankly. So I think this is a reaction rally right now. It doesn't mean it's going to last. It needs to really work to prove that it can last. It's got a blue bar today on the daily chart. And over here, it's got, let's see. Oops, wrong chart. Over here, it's got a blue bar as well. So it has not turned into a green one yet. So this just means it's still neutral. I'm going to cover these elder impulse bars next Tuesday and explain what these things are. They're actually pretty interesting. They can show you trend and momentum in one bar basically. So I'm going to cover that next Tuesday. But right now, the Qs look like it's trying to recover. Not there yet, though. The S&P, same thing, looks almost identical. The Dow, which had been the worst, is still red. It's got red bars on the weekly. Starting to move higher on the daily, but got a lot of work to do. And then the Russell, red still, so it's not ready yet either. But this could be the base right here. This could be the support level right here. Right, these two bars right here. So that could be solid support, and it's now trying to rise back to the mean and get above that 21-day. Just out of curiosity, I'd like to see what the Keltner channels look like. Yeah, you can see right here, it got overextended right there, and then it's just moving sideways and trying to get back to the mean. So this looks like it probably is ready to start moving higher. So this might be time to take a look at TNA again. This is a 3x. So you want to be careful with this, of course, because you can get 3x to the downside as well. But it looks very similar. Get to the extreme levels right here. Momentum is starting to pick up on the weekly. Would like to see it get above this level here that it was at, about 45. So, and then on the daily, same thing, it's trying to move higher. So we'll keep an eye on it. Next week is going to tell the story for the whole market. Hopefully it will move higher. And at least for a couple of weeks, that next week is when a lot of the 401k money starts flowing back in from the end of the year. So that I think should help the market. And then we'll see what happens with the inflation report and the Fed meeting at the end of the month. That's it for today. Hope everyone has a great weekend. And please like and subscribe Thank God somebody subscribed yesterday. We had with that Angel of Doom, Angel of Death thumbnail that I had. We had 666 subscribers, and it stayed 666 for quite a while. Nobody would subscribe. We're begging people to subscribe. We're finally away from that, thank God. But keep subscribing so I can keep this going. If you find it useful, and give me a list of stocks if you want me to look at them, like I did today. That was a really good list, by the way. Fred, if you're out there, that was a very good list. Looks great. All right, have a good weekend, everyone, and pick it up again on Monday. Take care.